Okay, so I decided to tear down this spare NP246 transfer case I got. Backstory, I rebuilt my transmission and I decided to set aside the original transfer case because I found this one for 175 bucks. I took it, threw it in with my new transmission that I built and rebuilt my other transfer case. Come to find out, I don't know why anybody would buy one of these already rebuilt. They're very simple to take apart as long as you have an exploded diagram and well, that's about all you actually really need. There's not many torque specs, aside from the case bolts or what have you. They're very easy to take apart, as you could see here. I did a time lapse. You could probably tear one of these apart in 30 minutes. The hardest part, as you could see here, I fidget with for quite a while, is the snap ring that holds the output shaft bearing to the tail housing here. It's a little bit of a pain to get off, and it can, these cases can wear a little bit such that that snap ring kind of eats into the case, makes it a little tricky to get out. If you watch some other YouTube tutorials, there's some guys that can just snap these right out in a heartbeat. Additionally, this case must have come from up north. I live in Arizona. It had some corrosion on it, and you could see it's black in areas. Before I put it on, I put body filler in those spots, glazing putty, and I painted over them with a rust resolve, like a Rust-Oleum rust remover sort of thing, to hopefully seal that up a little bit, as these cases are magnesium from the factory. Here I'm getting the snap rings off. I must have a really cheap pair of snap ring pliers. Actually, I had no idea. It just doesn't want to get that snap ring off. Now, these snap rings inside the case, they're pretty rugged, but as you get to the ones on the back side, which I will later in the video, that hold the planetary set in as well, actually just the planetary set, those can go bad. Mine were bad when I rebuilt my other one. I stretched them out too much, so I got a new set of those. No big deal. And I'm not quite as diligent about labeling the direction things were put on here. I don't think it really matters with these gears, but I did that previously. Additionally, you'll notice there's some slack in this chain. Now, you watch some tutorials on YouTube, and I don't agree with them. They said if there's any slack in that, you kind of want to maybe replace it. Now, you can't gauge that slack with it without having the case halves on. So to test if that chain is bad, in my opinion, put the case halves on to support these shafts with the new bearings when you're assembling it, and then see if you can rotate those shafts in opposite directions. If you can, then yeah, maybe the chain has some slack and or those gears that it fits to. I did notice maybe one of the gears was a little worn out. I don't know. It had some wear marks on it, like pitted wear marks, so specifically the one on the input shaft. Here I'm just pulling the shifter apart. It's all pretty simple, self-explanatory. You're going to pull snap rings off as you come through here, and stuff just comes out. I don't know exactly when I'll get to it there. I tried to get it, but I gave up. I do get it out. That front shaft seal, I get out, that pounding it out from the inside. But this other seal, I actually have a trick for getting the seal out that is for the input. Now, it takes me a while because I lost my screws, but what you're going to do is you're going to take that seal there and you're going to tap a hole with a drill bit. Once you tap that hole with the drill bit, you're going to drive a deck screw into it and take your hammer and the backside that pulls the nails out. You just lift on that screw and it's going to remove that seal quite easily. I can't believe that I lost that. I lost my screws. So I looked for some time here. Now I'm back with the drill. I tried to drill that other one out. Actually, you don't need to. I'll show you what I was explaining here in a moment. I'm searching everywhere for a screw, mind you, and it's a little bit annoying that I can't find them. I think I left them at a customer's house. I do a little handyman work on the side. I'm also a real estate broker, and I do engineering stuff when I can. Freelance engineering, designing circuit boards and things like that. And then when I'm not doing that, I have I do YouTube, and I go exploring in the backcountry. Now that's the snap ring I'm talking about that likes to go bad. It's on the ring gear or the input where your transmission output splines with the transfer case. Here, I don't know what I was doing there. Here I take apart the planet set, and there's a thrust washer in there. I think that's bad on this set. I'm inspecting it, inspecting all those ring planet gears for wobble, looking to see if there's any chewed up gears. Here I'm going to take apart the clutch hub. I don't know if that's called an apply ring. There's a bearing on the inside, and there's a little thing that applies that whole thing to compress and lock the clutches. When those clutches are locked, it gives you four-wheel drive on this design here. I think actually also the bearings for the needle bearings that are on the end of the clutch housing, I think those are bad because I could wobble that quite a bit. But all in all, this case was not in poor shape. That's the hub for the clutches I pulled off there. Now I'm going to show you, I think I lift this up to the camera. There's a little bit of rust on that. This poor case, it smelled like baby barf, meaning some water had got into it at one point. But everything looked fine aside from that little bit of, I want to say, kind of like rust on that. And I'm inspecting the ring gear there, putting things back together, kind of organizing myself here. One quick note, they want you to buy a tool to spec the clutches. You don't need that. Use a mic. Okay, so I tore this whole case down. This is an NP246. I want to show you something, or I got a question to ask about it. It had one symptom when I drove it. It would do a clunk when it shifted from first to second gear. I wasn't entirely sure. I thought that might be the transmission I built, but I don't think it was because I swapped in my other rebuilt transfer case, and it doesn't make the clunk like it did before. My transmission build shifts hard, quick, but it just doesn't clunk like it did with this case. And I kind of assumed that the planetary set was, or the ring gear was bad for the input here to the output, but I can't find anything wrong with it. There's the part that splines here. I don't have the little synchro for forward low or selecting the gear, and I couldn't see anything wrong with that, nor with where it splines and the housing for the planet set or the ring gear. I can't find anything wrong inspecting the teeth on the ring gear. I wobbled these. There's no play in these. However, I don't know what the front to front, the play spec would be if it's moving up and down. Maybe there's a thrust washer in there, which a plastic thrust washer, which maybe that's worn out, and when we shifted gears, it was pushing the ring set forward when you go from a stop, which kind of makes sense, pushing the ring forward and making a little clunk. But this, how might I tell if this is bad? The only thing I did notice when I took things apart, I haven't measured the clutch pack. I kind of wonder if this was rebuilt at one time, but we have our selective spacers here. There's two of them, and whoever did this, they put it in here, I think it was too thick. So this one's burnt. The bottom one is burnt. Not where the clutch touches it, thank God. I think these clutches are fine. I don't know if anybody'd ever reuse them. And then where it engages with the apply plate, or the apply, there's an apply here, and your shift fork pushes down on it to engage four-wheel drive. Lock that up. It's chewed up. There's indents on that. So that was the only thing I found wrong. And I'm wondering if just what's going on here is I got a little bit of, it needs a new selective washer to go up and down here, so it removes some of that forward push from the torque when it bites the planetary gears. The reason I ask is one, may rebuild this, but two, I'm likely a friend needs parts and I want to give him bad parts. But I can't see anything wrong with this, the shaft, anything else. Everything else looks perfect.